All right. How we doing? Reflection, celestial rising, divine noon, and grand night to the beautiful divine mirage watching this mindful message. It's your divine reflection, divine messenger, and we are back with another nature video. And we just got done with the Patreon video. I just posted that. And we will be talking about intergalactic slave trading and all that as well. I'm going to get that teaching chopped up. And I need to also get out more gematria scripts for the false spiritual leaders that are trying to hide in secrecy. So we still got Charleston White, Dr. Umar, Beadle, Billy Carson, Von Cut, got to finish Arcades Can't See, many other people as well. So, but further ado, I just had a thought as well today as far as Satan can't touch you, so the energy will send you contracts that provide opportunities. So let's get into it. Not all blessings are blissful. What looks good to you can bring consequences that can cause you to lose yourself in the process, so don't mesmerize over what you never needed. If a flashy job hires you and they pay well, but it's secretly keeping you miserable, then you must ask yourself if this is truly what I need to be doing, and does this align with my values and the life I want to live in? So I think it's too, a lot of things that we get gifted, a lot of things that come into our life. So the things that look good to us do come with consequences that we're going to have to pay for. So even with, let's say, a woman, or even with weed, or even with homework, it can be anything. Just because that looks good for the moment, or just because it seems as if you can obtain, your addiction for a certain period of time, if you don't owe that back to the person that dealt you the addiction, that didn't have a cost, and you're going to hurt yourself, put yourself in a detriment to where you're not going to be able to focus on what you need to be doing when it comes to your life. So you lose yourself in the process of what you're mesmerizing over, because the mesmerization of the addiction is what the person thinks they need. So they're going to do whatever they can to receive this blessing because they're being less of themselves. That's exactly why you shouldn't be saying that you're going through blessings or you're receiving blessings, because in blissfulness, you are attracting what the blessing can never be less in, because you are wanting more of what you are attracting in blissfulness, because you're in this vibration, you're in that experience. And thing is too, these things will start paying you well, because you realize that the things that look good to you are the processes that won't cause you to lose yourself, because what you receive and what you do, you're being more conscious of it. And when I say more conscious of it, that's why you have to ask yourself and tell yourself, is what I'm doing, is what I'm about to obtain, or what I'm about to learn about, what I'm about to go into, will this align with my values and the life that I want to live in? And if it doesn't, then you have to be able to be honest with yourself and tell yourself, okay, this house does look nice. It has this and that, but is this neighborhood the neighborhood that I want my kids to be raised in, or that I want to live in? Or just not even just the neighborhood, but the local area, whatever. Is there a Walmart in the vicinity? Is there a Publix? Are there different stores and different places that you can get as far as healthy, I would say, healthy motives that you are used to being around when you upgrade your life. So when you're doing that, you're telling yourself the things that I want to have being received in my life, they have to be a benefit for me to keep growing. I can't go back into what I was being less in, because I wanted blessings to come into my life, but they were giving me things that were causing me more harm. Yeah, I got the fast car, but if I go down the street and I'm damn near, at that point, what's the word I'm looking for? As soon as the car gets off the lot, I mean, it loses its value basically. So if I'm driving this car off the lot, what's the point of me even flexing it? What's the point of me even of course I'm gonna be thankful for it, but if I can barely drive this thing around just to drive it casually and just to do things in it, there's really no point of me even wanting to receive it or even gift myself with that. So I'm going to do what? Find myself a new toy that I want to drive myself around to where I can appreciate the moment for the longevity expense that I'm going to be spending time and money on. The contracts you agree to work with aren't curses because you chose to sign your nature away. So whose fault is it? Satan. And realize as well, the devil and Satan do not exist in my world, at least, because I understand that these are basically polarities that people experience their energy moving into, because you are the observation of the energy that you are playing out in through the form of matter. So what you think is the devil is saying will never have the audacity to attack you directly to your sight of mind. This energy will disguise traps and make them look like opportunities for you to fall in love with. And that can be for anything. So for example, a relationship can drain your energy slowly without you knowing. And this is why you must set boundaries and realize what this experience is costing you to do or be. The thing is, you can't ask yourself, why is this happening to you? Why did you two fall out? Why did, this partnership, why this relationship fall out to the way it was? Remember, the moment you introduced yourself to them, the moment you walked up to them, the moment you had a conversation with them, the moment you went on dates and all that, you lost a part of your nature because you sounded away for someone else's attention. You had to cater to them. You had to focus on them. You had to start being more intuitive, more empathetic towards their feelings. You had to start taking care of the things that they were unaware of. So you had to also put a focus on somebody else who may not have grown in areas that you were already healing. So once you realize that you can't be cursed, you're the one cursing yourself. That's the only way the curse can be amplified and come to life if you bring enhanced energy into it by being out of touch with your desires or your urges. So a lot of times as well, if you're in a relationship and it's draining you, a lot of people will still stay because they're comfortable being with the person that they are used to being around. That's their environment. That's all that they know because their subconscious mind won't let them know what's different outside of what they've been trained to be conditioned into receiving or being pleased by. And once that happens, you have to be able to, once you stop that action from happening, you have to be aware of the energy. So when you're aware of the energy, you place a boundary into it so that it can't limit you from what you are seeing yourself into healing. So when I say seeing yourself into healing, you let yourself know that, okay, when I'm with this person, how am I feeling? I start questioning. And there's nothing wrong with questioning your partner because if you're not able to contribute higher energy, loving energy to where both of you are able to move in fluidity, you're able to move with love, you're able to move with peace and clarity, then if you can't do that, you have to question what they are doing for you as far as emotional states and just the negligence and the abuse physically and spiritually and verbally. So if you're not being aware of that, then it's going to cost you your life and what you're going to be because you want to experience the better being of yourself. And why is that? Because let me go and put the annotation right here as a matter of fact. Because if we put this laser right here for experience and boundary, actually, no, let me go and put the pin right here. Experience and then boundary. If you're not experiencing what your boundaries are, then you won't set a clear intention on what your boundaries should realize. Remember, if you want your boundaries to realize themselves, you have to set a clear intention on what you want to experience. And that all comes down to how much energy you are retaining and how much you're learning about and the relationship you have with the energy that you are slowly getting to know. Because remember, it's all about, getting to know what this energy wants to be for today. Because remember, what you think this energy is being is what's slowing you down and attacking you because you're attacking yourself directly because you don't have a sight of what's disguising itself into trapping you into falling in love with the opportunities that look presentable to you the whole entire time. That's exactly what your ego, what goes against you, your nature, when your nature goes against your higher self, this is what we would call it in different religious perspectives or theologies. But these titles right here are not attacking you, but you identifying with the being that can never have this labeling. That's what's attacking you because you are the one attacking yourself by blaming it on somebody else besides yourself. Having spiritual sight is the key. And understand as well. I forgot I can do this on a new computer. I'll be forgetting that, being within the struggle, when you start upgrading your life, I'll be so used to going back to what I used to know. It's like having the fancy stuff. I still just like going back to what I used to know, but it feels good to know that you can do different things with the gifts that you receive yourself into being blissful. And remember, the blessings or the blissfulness that we experience, how is it helping you activate the keys towards your life? So For example, the key, so having spiritual sight is the key to seeing the unorthodox because remember, life is unorthodox. You will never be able to make sense of it, which is exactly why only awaken. The thing is to awaken still means being asleep. When you are asleep and you are aware of your sleeping state, you do everything you can every single day to guide yourself into being awakened with what you set your mind into being awake about. So we'll be able to see through the hidden agendas that the virtual world will keep offering. Remember, this virtual world is you offering yourself, to your nature on what you want to know about. So we'll keep offering to itself through your nature because the system knows everything about you according to the mind. I'm going to put you, but about you according to the mind you allowed to share life into. Remember, you allowed, especially with the mind as well, because you collectively chose to have this mind that you have in your cranium and your crown gateway. So it's a Stargate portal. You chose to have your mind share life into what you want to sleep into. Remember, it's that virtual reality that people think is physical, but when you are awakened, the virtual world now distorts itself into what you have to let go of because you changed your mindset. When you change your mindset, oh my bad, when you change your mindset, you can now share more life only into your awakened state of being because that's what you learned everything when it came to your nature combining itself with the mind. Because the mind and nature have to understand what they are systematically being programmed into never knowing. Because when you know the system now has to go against you according to what you told yourself through hidden agendas. And these hidden agendas came from what your nature has orchestrated for itself to play within. So as you play through these offerings, you're basically going through a satanic spellcasting. So let me see. I want to connect nature with agendas because now when you offer that, you get to keep you get to keep whatever this nature wants to be. But that's the hidden agenda right there. By giving yourself up for the spiritual sight that holds the key to what you want to see. Because remember, what you're seeing is the key to you being awakened in the virtual world, which is unorthodox. And that will be the offering that you had to keep on maintaining. Because remember, you're offering yourself every single day because what you see through spiritual sight is what you're getting rid of as far as the mind. So easy money schemes, instant gratification, many different things promise fast money, but that's not always promised. This is why you always pause, question, and reflect before you jump into anything that you don't recognize. Remember, you pause, the three keys right here. It could be more as well, but you pause, you question, then you reflect before you jump into anything. Curiosity will kill the cat, into anything that you don't recognize. But remember, this right here is powerful right here because you do recognize what this scheme is, and everything is a pyramid scheme, obviously, which is why we use money. So once you understand that this star right here is going to go right here, but once you understand this key point aligned to that, you have to reflect on what you do recognize because remember, fast money is not always good money. Easy money is not always money that can help benefit you because all you're doing it for is just the instant gratification. But once you constantly get this instant dopamine hit or effect of instant gratification, you now get to understand that for one, the fast money that you thought you were promised may not come to you. It may come to you in different ways, but if you're not staying true to your ways, then you'll never receive this fast money because you think that it was easy to obtain it to where you were doing things to get it instantly. But that's the scheme upon yourself. You're tricking yourself out of what you have to maintain focus in because remember, the key to obtaining the abundance that you want, you have to be able to see yourself working for it every single day. Not working for it, I mean working around it to where it attracts itself to you because you remember and recognize that before I go into anything, I got to question what I want to reflect myself into being whenever I go into the situation because instant gratification cannot satisfy me and it's definitely not promised. So once I know that it's not promised, I now have to pause and tell myself what is promised to my life, the future that I can see myself working into. And that's how you're able to become more fruitful and seeing through the lens that is unorthodox. Watching the ego go against your wisdom, and we have to be able to understand that this will happen constantly. So, for example, from what I can see, my ego understands that there are many, I'm on campus right now, and there are many women walking around as well. But my wisdom understands that a lot of these women are basically men. And it's just, I can tell by the walk, I can tell by the clavicle, I can just tell by just the structure of their unawareness. But my ego still thinks as if that's a woman because that's the conditioning that the simulation has placed upon the lens that we see life through. So what I realized was when I control my desires, I realized that my desires could blind me because if I was still moving in lust, I'm gonna still sit here and find some type of attraction through what I'm objectifying. But as I see these women for what they don't know that they're being, I now give them grace for what they could think they see themselves being in or becoming in. But that's why discernment plays a part in protection. What just happened? Go back. Okay. So your desires will always blind you, but your discernment is meant to protect you because it cares about where you should be going in life. Always remember, this right here is your best friend because we don't have this. No matter what, this right here, because remember, this is what, that's cool. This is what this right here thinks it can define what that is, but it does not want to define what that is. So there's a disconnect right there. But when you become connected to this, you become against yourself you go against yourself by watching what this is doing 24/7. By watching this, you have a choice now. I don't believe in free will, but you have a choice to correct the actions that this plays in by being aligned with this being right here. This is a being, by the way, that you can possess. It's not, I wouldn't say you're harvesting it because you channel that energy by being contradicting of what you were taught and what you study. So even the things that I learn every single day, I do my best to provide for you the things that I don't know about because my ego knows something because obviously for me to know something, what do I have to do? I had to go behind closed doors, read about it, research it, do my own homework on it. So I go back and say what I think I learned, but I know I have to go against that because that's what builds me into being conscious of this specimen right here or Satan. Your desires, remember, your desires don't belong to you, but it's the nature craving what it wants to be familiar with. And that's what keeps you blind. Always, by the way. Your desires will always keep you blind because you think as if you're supposed to, I wouldn't even say take care of, but you want to satisfy or give gratification towards the nature. But always remember, your discernment will always protect you. It wants to protect you because it's caring. This is why there is a God, but this source is an active energy that cares about where you should be going in life. Because remember, in life, you have somewhere to go. But where are you going? Where should you be going? That's why you have to care about what you can't even see and where you're even seeing it. Because once you care about where you're going through discernment, even though you're blind, you can still see through what can't be seen. I spell protect wrong, but that's why when you're protecting your desires, remember too, this discernment right here becomes aware of itself by protecting what it can't even see itself desiring. So if someone constantly shows out their success for likes, then they aren't being successful for themselves. It's basically a cover up on keeping up with other people's validation. And this is why they want or they won't grow. Focus on maintaining real progress and not validation from people that don't put in extra work when they don't feel like it. So remember, when people are constantly showing off their success on social media for these likes right here, remember, they will never be successful because that's what success does not look like. When you constantly do it, you are showing yourself through them what you aren't successful in. That's why it's a constant battle of people going on social media trying to be successful because they're competing with something or someone else. That's exactly why they cover themselves up with the likes by paying for them. Remember, if we didn't have likes, comments, and shares and all that, you wouldn't know who in you wouldn't know, no, not you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know who the authentic content creators are because you can tell that they don't care about the likes. There are many people who pay for these likes and they constantly do it because they're keeping up with other people's validation. And that's exactly why they won't grow because you're constantly feeding what somebody else is telling you in the comment section or they're DMing you. You're doing it for them. You're never doing it for yourself. Whenever you post, you should never care about the return investment upon the likes. No, you're not doing it for the likes. You're not doing it for the attention. You're doing it because you genuinely enjoy making content. You genuinely enjoy working for yourself. You genuinely enjoy seeing yourself become better because you're posting videos that came from your thoughts when you were sitting without making the video. But once the video comes and it's recorded, you're now showing yourself that when the bright lights cut on, you're being aware of what you're working on every single day behind closed doors to where it has no choice but to shine upon the light. That's why you focus. With focus comes more clarity. With clarity comes that higher order that you can align your future into because you're maintaining real progress and not just validation from people. Because people don't matter to themselves because they don't put in extra work, especially when they don't feel like it. When these people don't feel like it, you can now focus on yourself because remember, validation is needed from the people who are tired of working. So why would they want to put in the extra work to get better? They don't feel like it. Obviously. So when you constantly show up for yourself, success will give you the likes that you never cared about. Lastly, having enlightening alignment matters to what lies in matter's imagination. Remember, matter has an imagination that plays physical. That's why when you're in alignment, you realize that detaching from this realm never mattered to your matter's imagination. That's exactly why lies can only imagine what matter is imagining by being enlightening and what could never imagine itself to being matter in. Having I would say having your best phase of growth comes from the mindset of things that are serving your solar observation, not the things that will temporarily satisfy your ego so you can feed delusional addictions. Remember, the best phase of growth will come from the mindset of the things that you're serving towards your solar observation, nature, fasting, grounding, journaling. I say these things a lot, but I take these things into consideration because it helped me become a better man. You know, me going outside, being on campus, and expressing myself openly with ideas that can help us become more fruitful into being a better man and woman. And the thing is, too, there are many distractions out here, but that's why I don't temporarily want to satisfy my ego, excuse me, by feeding into delusional addictions. So, of course, me being aware of the forensic analysis for women and men as well has helped me realize that me lusting after people and I don't know their genetic makeup is only causing me to descend down into my lower way of being and the inverted meaning of what people make meaning towards, which is exactly why I tell myself, stay in alignment, stay enlightened every single day because these things don't matter. It's all an imagination. All you have to focus on are the things that can help you become an important figure for society. And I tell myself every single day that I am great. I am doing this. I am doing that because I deem myself to be so. I require myself to be at a higher standard because I want to provide my life for the future that I can get introduced to. So even when it comes to a high paying project, for example, these things can go against your purpose, but now you have to choose the things that serve your higher self and not just your bank account since that comes and goes when it needs to. So remember, this comes and goes when it needs to. So when people feel as if this high paying project right here is the end all be all, they'll now go against their purpose because this high paying project is what kept them focused. So where now their purpose that was going to serve their higher self, they're not going to care about that anymore because their bank account has grown. Their bank account has soared through the limitations that they used to be broken because they were feeding delusions. So once you feed that delusion for so long, your higher self won't even tell you what you're doing for yourself because it wants to see if you're going to introduce yourself into what you've been going against. And that's just basically what you told yourself that you were going to conquer. And if you don't conquer these addictions, then you'll keep on serving them to where you lose your solar observation to where you can't find out how to be enlightening through the growth of your phase of living. And you're not even living, but you'll constantly keep on dying because you're not outgrowing the consciousness that you are imagining yourself into thinking is supposed to be a project that can get you paid for what you think you care for. But all you care about is maintaining bills, maintaining utilities, maintaining this and that. That's because you're exercising yourself into thinking as if that's supposed to be important. But who told you that? Society? Society does not even know what they're feeding every single day. And that's what keeps them satisfied and placing themselves in mediocre results that keep them stuck in a lower vibration that will never satisfy them into being the best version of what they should have been their whole entire life till it's too late. And when it's too late, they'll come back to their life and tell themselves, where has the days been? Where have I gone? Why have I lost myself? It's because you were too worried about what was in your account and what was worried or what was pleasing your pleasures and not realizing that you had to understand that you had to watch the ego go against your wisdom. Not only just that, we have spiritual sight of what you can't even see. You realize that these contracts are showing you that you are always going against yourself and it can never be Satan. So because of that, the things that you find a blessing in have to rewire themselves into being blissful because once you do that, you realize that the things that look good can bring consequences and that are hidden if you do not know how to process what you need to lose. And that's basically the mesmerization of what you think you need in this world. Have a great and divine day, divine reflection.